Hello everybody and welcome back to Juno, where we are currently working on a mission to do these two CubeSat missions here, and both of these should be acceptable to fire at the same time. So we're just going to do that, and we're not going to assign these satellites separately. We're just going to launch this and get this over with. So I believe we're going to have to launch this. We can launch this from the village runway, right? It's too tall for the from the village pad, not the village runway. Hang on. Village pad. There we go. Now we can launch it from here. And that'll be fine. We just need to get this up into a proper orbit. So I'm wondering about heating with these engines combined together. That's going to be very interesting for sure. So we're going to take this over to a pitch of about 60 degrees and let's launch this. We don't need our pitch and yaw sliders. Ooh, that's some thrust away. Yeah, that is definitely some thrust to weight there. No doubt about that. Look at that speed. Okay, our side boosters are going to be staged soon. They're running out of fuel. They're out of fuel now. There they go. And now our SRB still has a fair amount of fuel left in it. And look at that apoapsis. So at this point, I want to be pitching us all the way over to like 20 degrees. Now, we're going to have a bit of a hard time actually pitching over there for the moment, but that is absolutely fine for now. So we know that we need to get up to an apoapsis of like 2,100 here, I think. Yeah, that's about what we need to get to an apoapsis of. So we're going to need to continue to push prograde for quite a long time, actually. Let's just lock it to prograde. And off we go. What is our current altitude? 57, and our apoapsis is 140? Okay, that's not bad. I would like to be getting horizontal speed here, though. So let's take this over to 20. We're going to burn at 20, and we're going to continue to push up this apoapsis. That needs to go up, like I said, to about 2,100. And then we're going to have to raise up our periapsis to literally anything. And that'll be fine. Then we'll deploy our two CubeSats, and all will be good. Cool. So this shouldn't be a problem. We just need to get the apoapsis up high enough. We may want to consider adding a little bit more fuel into this stage later on, but for the moment, I'm reasonably content with this. So you can see time to apoapsis is currently at 2.3 minutes. We are in vacuum as of right now, so that is phenomenal. And we can see our periapsis is starting to increase relatively quickly. Yeah, so is our apoapsis. We're definitely building up orbital speed here. Surface velocity, yeah, let's go to orbital. There we go. And then sea level altitude, this is all fine. So we need to build up our orbital velocity quite a lot. Specifically, our horizontal velocity. It's a little strange to me that they don't have a separate horizontal and vertical, or I guess lateral and vertical velocity is what they call it. Yeah. Okay, so we want more lateral velocity, and our vertical velocity is going to be going down. At least for now, that'll start going up, I think, eventually. But for the moment, what we want is large amounts of lateral velocity. And this will be absolutely fine. So that looks good. We're just going to continue to burn here for now, building up that lateral velocity. Now up to almost 1.5 kilometers per second, but we've got a lot of apoapsis lifting to do here. You can see our orbital prograde is very close to this position at this point, and we're probably just going to wait for it to drift over and then lock to prograde. Is probably what we're going to end up doing. So I want to get a huge amount of apoapsis here still. And that's absolutely fine. So let's go ahead and lock to prograde at this point. It's very, very close. That'll be fine. And I want to push up our apoapsis quite a lot. Once our periapsis gets into position here, we may end up doing a prograde burn at the periapsis, but I don't think so. I think we can just launch ourselves into this, unless our thrust to weight isn't quite where I think it is. It's 2.84 right now. So that should be reasonably fine. We should be pushing out the apoapsis again very soon. Yeah, we can see both the periapsis and apoapsis are raising pretty heavily at this point. And that is solid. That's exactly what I want to be seeing. So again, we're aiming for like 2.1 megameters, I guess we would say. I don't know if it actually does that. I think it goes into thousands of kilometers here, but that's okay. So our apoapsis is high enough for 1 now. But we need to continue to raise it until the apoapsis is high enough for CubeSat mission number 41. We've only got 4% fuel left here. That's interesting. Okay, cutting the throttle here. The question is this 1% fuel enough? It might not actually be. So at the apoapsis, I want to burn basically whatever we've got left. This is going to be 64.5 meters per second of DV. How much do we have? We have enough. Okay, beautiful. So now we're going to align to that burn. And we are going to warp over to it and auto-execute this burn. This should be high enough up to get us in position for both of these. Beautiful. So we'll position there like that, and the burn will be completed shortly. There we go. And we've still got a tiny, tiny amount of fuel, like 1 pixel worth of fuel there. Amazing. Now all we need to do is detach the 2 CubeSats because we're in position for both of these. I say 2 CubeSats. There's roughly 1 trillion CubeSats. And there we go. Both of these are now completed. So we'll end that flight, and that is absolutely wonderful. So, next up, what do we got? Luna flyby is definitely something I'd like to do, but we should maybe clean up a few more of these. So this is small sats as opposed to CubeSats. Okay, that's noted. Drew orbit. 1188 and 594. Once we achieve the orbit, do we have to remain there is my question. This would be an easy one to finish. There's also this, which wouldn't make us very much money. So that is certainly noted. But it would be very easy. To be honest, we could make an alteration of our current craft, and what that would end up being, and I'm probably not even going to bother saving this, but what that would end up being is we would take this off, we would take this off, we would get rid of every single one of our ridiculous number of CubeSats. Like this. This is a ridiculous number of CubeSats. And the question is, how much is this going to cost to launch if we do it like this? $30K. Okay, we're going to definitely have to dial this back. That would be 25K. That would be 24K. That would be 20K. This thrust to weight isn't enough to get us off the ground, but we could definitely dial down the size here, which I would be interested in doing, and attaching these guys like so, moving these in a little bit like so. That would put us up to a thrust to weight of 1.7 and 14K. So that seems acceptable. I'm going to save this as boom. There we go. And we're going to go into our career, and I'm going to accept this one. Now, we're going to go actually negative from this, but I just want to complete the contract. So we're going to do that. We need to get 10 kilometers up and launch from the village pad. This is not going to be profitable, but it's going to be very slightly not profitable. And we're going to need to have this pinned open, and we're going to need to keep in mind this explosive power, but we need to get enough altitude here. Why are we not lifting off? There we go. That took a while. I guess it was just a ramp up. Okay, so we're just going to lift this guy straight on up. And I'm watching that explosive power. We need to get quite a lot of altitude here. But we need to have at least like 3,000 and some boom power here. So that is noted. We're currently 2 kilometers up. Now 3. And of course our surface velocity is going up. So I think that we are definitely going to make this. 5 kilometers. We need to go higher than 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 kilometers. And kaboom. Okay. So we did not make a profit off of that. That's understood. We knew that that wasn't going to happen. I just wanted to get the contract scratched off of the list there. So here's another one, which is less money. Noted. I'm going to accept that one as well. And we're going to downsize this, I think, a little bit more. So this is a thrust to weight of 0.29. But what if we massively downsized this to be like that? That's a thrust to weight of 2. This is much cheaper. What if we even ditched the wings? We're just going straight up. Okay, 1.67 at altitude of 0. The real question is, will we have enough boom power once we reach altitude? Let's find out. So we're going to put this out on the village pad. This is going to be much more economical. And let's just lift this guy off. Going straight up in the air. We're going to have higher thrust to weight. And how much boom power do we have right now? I don't think... No, we're not going to have enough. Okay, we're going to have to revert that back. And we are going to need to... Actually, we're going to need to undo an exit, aren't we? Just recover that craft. That'll be fine for now. We need more boom power in this. So we're going to need to expand the size of this somewhat. Something kind of like that. So we need this guy to be about like this. That'll be fine. Now the question is thrust to weight, which we don't have enough. So I'm going to do this, and we're going to have to mirror this part to be something like that. And hopefully that will be enough boom power. It feels like this is tapering off, but maybe that's okay. So that's going to be a lot more explosive power. I wouldn't mind a little bit of additional thrust to weight here. This is 11k. So this would be negative for us to do, but it wouldn't be very negative. Let's go ahead and do it. I want to get this contract scratched off. I'd like to be done with these fireworks contracts. They're kind of annoying. So let's pin this open and let's lift this guy right on off. We want to have good, solid thrust to weight and sufficient boom power. I think there's a smarter way we can do this, though. If there's another contract here, I'm going to do this a smarter way. We'll see if there's any more of these. So 11 kilometers, and we need like 3,000 explosive power. Okay. So the smarter way to do it, I think, would be to have this tank with exactly the amount of boom power that we need, and then perhaps some like side boosters on each side that actually lift it. But that will be fairly expensive. Okay, let's boom it. There we go. And we did not, in fact, make a profit. That's understood. I'm not concerned about that. That's very small amounts of loss. Okay. 26 kilometers. 5,099 boom power. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to detach all of these engines. And we're going to move this guy up and move this in a little bit. There we go. And I want to have this be sized specifically to have exactly... This is 5219 boom power? Okay, that would be enough. Then I want to have some interstages here on the side. So this is currently costing us 2,000. That's understood. I want to have the... Oh, side interstages are so expensive. Can we put a second fuel tank underneath here and then not draw from this fuel tank? I wonder if we had this as Carolox. It's a little less boom power than solid. What's the mass? Okay, noted. Okay, so this would be fine. The question is, will we be pulling from both here if we have some engines here, right? That's the question. So some solid rocket motors down here, and we would probably like to increase the thrust of these solid rocket motors as much as we can. So the size and power cycle is currently amateur, which we can't change. And the fuel grain is basic, which we can't change. The chamber pressure is going to add cost, but that allows us to tune the thrust to weight. Okay, noted. The nozzle throat size could be brought down, but that wouldn't be good. We're not interested in that. We can bring up the rocket size if we wanted to, but that's basically doubling, more than doubling, the cost. That said, that thrust to weight is definitely going up a bit. That'd be a thrust to weight of 1.81. But I would want to get maybe like 2 of these. So positioning it there and then putting it in radial X2 symmetry. Something like that. Very high thrust to weight. The question is, are we going to be drawing fuel from this fuel tank? I hope that we're not. That is the goal. Let's see if that happens. So, do we draw fuel from this upper fuel tank? We absolutely do. So that's not ideal then. But we're not drawing fuel from this tank. We're drawing it from the top one first. That's interesting. Okay, so now we're starting to draw from this tank, and that boom power is, of course, going down. At this point, I would want to be coasting. So maybe an interstage is necessary to prevent it from doing this? Maybe. Let's revert this back. Undo and exit. There we go. Let's revert this back, and how can we prevent it from drawing from this fuel, is the question. I think an interstage would definitely do it. How much is an interstage going to cost? Mass and price vary with size. Okay, I want this to be like a teeny tiny interstage. Like that. So that's not going to cost very much. Okay. So let's see how high up this is going to push us. 2.62 kilometers per second is probably enough. So this at this point should be relatively economical for us. Let's just go ahead and lift this guy off. We should not be pulling fuel. We are pulling fuel through the interstage. What? There's an interstage here. We're pulling fuel through the interstage. At this point, once this runs out of fuel, well, specifically, once this runs out of fuel, I would want it to be coasting. Because obviously we're not going to have the explosive power now, but we probably had the altitude. Probably. So why was it pulling fuel through that interstage? Let's undo and exit. And let's see if we can figure out how to prevent it from pulling fuel through the interstage. So, cover engine, fuel transfer mode is already set to disabled. So it's not supposed to pull fuel through that. Well, isn't that exciting? Maybe the interstage wasn't big enough. Maybe we need something like that. Now, as far as these motors go, I would like to have, like, more thrust, ideally. I'm wondering, that would now be 12K. That's good enough. I want to push us up faster and have more coast time, essentially. I want to get large amounts of distance very quickly here. So we can see that this is actually burning out now, and this is not. So it was that the interstage was just not long enough. Fascinating. Well, we've got that problem solved. Now the question is, what's our apoapsis? Well, if we look in here, apoapsis is currently 18.5. So this isn't enough time, or rather, this isn't enough thrust. But that's definitely a step in the right direction now that this is not blowing up. So let's detach this guy, add in some additional length to it. Is this too tall for the village pad? No, it is not. Okay, so we're just adding some additional burn time here. That looks good. Okay, off we go. And let's build up a good amount of speed here. So we can see that our current apoapsis is 24, 25, 26. We need to reach 26 kilometers, and this is going to be like 30, 33. We have some drag here, so we definitely need to have some extra space there, for sure. But it looks like we're going to be okay. The drag is not doing too much at this point. So now we're just going to coast up to 26 kilometers, and then we detonate this, which will have enough to detonate. Perfect. So we just need to let ourselves coast on up and detonate this and complete this fireworks contract. That will be ideal. 22 kilometers, we can see that our apoapsis is currently 28.4. So this looks absolutely fine. 24 kilometers. 25 kilometers. Wait, we just went up to 27. Okay, cool. I guess that counts. Kaboom. So we got 13K from that, and that was basically net neutral. That's fine. So we're going to save that flight, and is there another one? Actually, this is literally the same contract. Okay, I guess we'll do it again. There's no reason not to. I mean, we're not losing money on it. I don't know why it's giving us exactly the same contract, but whatever. Why not do it again? So this is fine. And we're just going to detonate this once we get up high enough. At this point, I would like to do 2x speed. Since we know for a fact that this is going to be absolutely fine, we can just cruise right on through it. Wonderful. And I'm guessing the reason why that jumped up is because we went from the pad to over here above. This is above ground level. So that'll be fine. We're at 20 kilometers above ground level right now. And this is all looking good. 24 kilometers. 27. Okay, there we go. Cool. So that time we only got 10K for it. I guess it was slightly differing amounts of money. We lost 3,000 on that. But yeah, that's what he's doing. He's reducing the payment each time. But I don't actually care about losing money. I just want to get these done. Okay, let's launch this one more time. Hopefully this is the last time he's going to ask us to do this, but we are still going to be cruising through nice and fast. I don't care about losing small amounts of money here. We have so much money. It's not a problem. Beautiful. So we're just going to coast our way right on up and detonate again. Actually, we only need to be 11 kilometers, so that one was... We kind of overshot that one, but I'm lazy. What are we going to do? So this one is now 80 kilometers high with 8944 boom power. That's a lot higher. Okay, so that is noted. We're going to need more boom power in this stage. That's the amount of boom power we would need. Okay, let's widen our radius a little bit, and let's shrink this guy right on down to be about like that. And then let's attach this in, widen this out, like that. And this is still a high enough thrust to weight here, in theory. I don't know if this is going to get us to orbit. I would like, I think, to boost this guy up to 6x. 3.03 thrust to weight here, but that's in vacuum. 2.48. That should be reasonably fine. That's a little bit less DV, but it should be a pretty long burn time. Let's see how that goes. This is going to cost how much to launch? 23k? Sure. Okay, let's see how this goes. I don't know that this is going to get high enough, but I suspect it might. Okay, let's cruise on through. We should have very, very high levels of thrust to weight as we go up. So we should accelerate up pretty swiftly here. Let's keep an eye on that apoapsis. Keep it on prograde, please. So that is an apoapsis of about 50 kilometers. We are definitely going to need more burn time. Okay, we'll revert that back. And let's get ourselves some more burn time here. So that, of course, is going to mean that we need to do something like this. I don't know if this is going to be too tall for this pad. Nope, it's good. Okay. Let's get more burn time. Fantastic. Off we go here. And let's push that apoapsis right on up. We need to go higher than 80 kilometers. We're at 10 right now. Lock it to prograde. We're now at an apoapsis of 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. This should be good. 87, but we are having some drag here, but as we get higher up, that drag will lessen. So now all we need to do is coast our way up to 80 kilometers. We're at 50 right now. Fantastic. This looks good. And then we'll detonate this. This has enough explosive power, so that'll be fine. 65 kilometers, 66, 67, 68. Yep, all is looking good here. We are reaching 75 kilometer apoapsis. And 80. 89.44. Yeah, we have 4 enough. Excellent. Perfect. So that costed us 4,000, but that's okay. Beautiful. Does this guy have more of those? He does. He's doing the same thing again. It's a little lower, but sure. It is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And next episode, we're going to power through Buck Marshall's contracts here. We'll get those done very quickly. And then we'll start working on cleaning up some of these satellite missions and probably Drew Orbit as well. That'll all be fine. Yeah, that looks good. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.